How is it, uncle, to manage family in business? This applies to all of you. I know your brother, your father, your wife. I know Nirupa's dad. I know your kids, nephews, nieces. It seems to be a very... What was this TV show I was watching?
Succession.
Don't say
Succession. It's like different versions of Succession in each of your households. How complicated is that?
So Succession is a show I haven't watched because I found all the protagonists quite annoying. So I didn't take a liking to any of them. But I think, like, if you look at it, right, most businesses are family businesses, right? 80% of businesses globally start off as family businesses, and then they get professionalized, and then they go public. So we all start off as family businesses, and then you have to decide if second gen wants to continue or not. So only, I think, I was reading somewhere that 36% of businesses get into second gen, and then maybe about 11 or 15% get into third gen, and maybe only 4% get into fourth gen. So I think the challenge is in the, like you were saying, managing egos or managing people and managing relationships, because you might have the perfect org structure, but if the human element is not looked into, then the disruption happens. The way we have done it is, my dad was very smart in the sense that he gave my sister and I, she's older than me, different verticals. And then we also have a cousin in the business, and we also have another family friend who's like a brother to me anyway, and an uncle. And then my mother was in the business, but all of us handled very different sections and verticals of the business. So there's no stepping on each other's toes.
But like every other family,
Yeah.
when, let's say, 10 family members, being humans at the end of the day, like we all are, people get insecure, people get jealous, somebody gets more validation, somebody gets less. The next generation does not agree with the prior generation in the idealistic way of thinking, all of that. How do you cope with that and still stay together?
I think you should answer this, since you are like managing probably this at the highest level.
No, I think similar structure, what Nirupa just now enumerated, very important thing is this, what he very rightly said about stepping on each one's toes.
Yeah.
So we have each one is doing their own thing, and they have the freedom to do it. Yes, but you're absolutely true.
I would,
Emotions, huh?
No, I would say that, like, at least from our perspective, I've seen a break in the family thing. Like my dad, his brother, and my granddad split when we were very young. When my dad was building the business, he was also, I think, around 30 years old. And that split was a lot of ego. There was, like, maybe some differences of opinion, miscommunication also on what was, the right intention or what, was actually happening. And today, me and my brothers are sort of coming into the business. So seeing how my dad is, I think, taking some learnings or like context from situation that he went through and trying to figure out also the way it should pass on. And I think that passing on is extremely different in every single family, depending on multiple factors. Today we are 3 boys, and there's no other brother or sibling of my father in the business, so it's maybe slightly easier. And we're all taking some interest in, building a part of the business.
It gets more complicated with every generation.
Yeah, it will get more complicated, but it also, I guess, depends on what type of intention, ambition the generation shows, right? There can be people who are not interested at all in coming into the business. How do they get viewed? How do they get treated being part of it? Or someone who's taking more extreme, like a lot of initiative, and you can really see them putting a lot of effort in. So
Like,
I don't think it's like an equal, like, I'm not sure if an equals approach works in all situations, but it is important for one person, like the head, to make sure that equalization is happening to as fair as possible.
No, but in the end, if you look at it, everybody needs to have a certain level of maturity while handling other members. But also all our, if you know, for lack of a better thing, all our wealth or our careers are tied with the success of the company. So if we are not mature about it, what's in the best interest of the company is in the best interest of all the individuals as well, right? So
you know
one key question to ask always is what's in the best interest of the organization. You know, like you were asking whether to do residential or office or whatever it is. You have to see what is in the best interest of the
How
company.
do you handle it? I mean, you're sort of also.
I'll tell you what. Good thing is because of being listed.
Yeah,
I'll tell you.
Everybody knows their value. Now you're not listed. You should get listed, sir.
You should.
There's something called the minority rule. So if 4 of us are individually of a certain psychology, when we come together as a group, the psychology of the group is completely different from what we had individually.
Absolutely.
And 3 of us might agree and be broadly okay with whatever is happening. But if that one person who is the minority who disagrees vehemently enough, we will have to tweak the company or the decision of the group in a manner that appeases the minority. This happens with many things. Right? Now, if you ask why is most meat halal today, why is Coke a certain way, why are kosher foods the norm and not the exception, you see it across the world in different products. So in your family or in Irfan's family, if he has 4 in the next generation and the one who is minority is very strong and very vocal about what he believes, how do you get him to go along with the other 3 majority who are more malleable in a way? That's a tough question, right?
It is a tough question. Fortunately, we don't have that situation.
Yeah, so right now, I agree. See, right now, you're also there. So everybody listen to whatever you say. All decisions are resolved then.
Yeah.
But I think, like you said, we are also looking to have a executive council where the key members, decisions have to be done unanimously and it's either convince or be convinced. And there's a way to do it, right? There's numbers, there's facts. I think first generation or OGs, as we call them, were more intuitive. And I think as the organization grows, you have to grow from a person-dependent organization to a more process-driven one. So then your numbers will come into play, logic will come into play, financing will come into play. There will be other factors. It's not, I feel that this is the best decision, right? We'll have to showcase it with logic, argument, numbers, and hopefully it's a convince or be convinced
If you had
situation.
to start a real estate company that would thrive today, will the thinking of your generation work in that company or the prior generation? Binary question. You can't have a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Would Brigade...
Prior.
I would say prior.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why do you say prior?
I would say prior because I feel like building a real estate company, you need a lot of risk-taking ability. Like if you want to, build from scratch and go...
Sorry, I'm saying your generation...
No, you need to be intuitive.
No, I think his point is intuition. I have a couple of other points which I will add up.
Yeah, I think that today, maybe our generation is, thinks a little bit too much before getting into, stuff.
Analysis paralysis.
And in real estate specifically, I feel like you do need to take these bold calls. You do need to take a lot of risk. You do need to build a very strong relationship with, partners up front. And I think the previous generation was slightly better at doing that, I would say, if I had to start from scratch. But to take over a business and to build a business maybe from a platform or a foundation that it is at today, I would say our generation.
Processes.
Yeah, it's just more generation, more ability to tweak it and,
You're saying they had more risk-taking ability.
100%.
I feel I've seen...
Also, was that because they had lesser to lose?
Yeah, 100%.
One is, yours is risk-taking, but I would say the way they work, like I've seen my dad work like long hours, 7 days a week. There is no break, but his work is his passion. And when I ask him, is it your passion? He's like, passion is a luxury, right? At that point in time, when he started, it was no choice really.